it is going to look dark outside. It is going to be noisy. More than likely, we're going to be dealing with a lot of winds and a lot of lightning. Damage from these winds is more than likely going to cause possibly damage not only to trees, but could cause structural damage as well. When this continues to move through, because of the very saturated grounds we've already had over the past several days, it is likely we could be having not only flooding issues when this line will move through, but also the possibility of some trees that could be uprooted within the process. So again, watching a couple areas with this, especially this system that will be moving through, making its way towards State Highway C and towards Advance. That'll be very shortly. We're still going to be dealing with stronger storms though all the way to the south of this. We got to watch a couple of these areas where we start getting these notches, because that's where we could see some of those winds start to rotate as well. So we're watching this very, very closely as this will continue to move through. Again, this second area moving towards State Highway J now, crossing that, and it'll be making its way towards Missouri 25 over Bloomfield. If you're in Bloomfield, you will want to take shelter. As well as that, probably want to be pretty safe if you're heading towards Dexter as well. We are having a vast area that are under 2 tornado warnings right now until about 3:50. Again, with this line, not only are we dealing with heavy rain, but also close to 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts and the possibility of some small hail. It is starting to pick up speed moving off to the east. I believe, Grant, you said about 50, 55 miles an hour?
Yeah, I think the latest speed we had at that one circulation was near 50 miles per hour. The other one is the one in Dexter, near Dexter, was 45 miles per hour. So I just say 50 because that makes it get there quicker on our map, and that gives people a couple extra minutes.
Perfect. So this is picking up. This used to be about 30 miles per hour when it started off in our west. Now picking up speed as it's moving to our east. We are still going to be having possibly some stronger weather heading into some portions of Scott County, Cape Girardeau County. Let's see if we can, again, we'll take a zoom out so we can see what is on the radar, what is going to be heading our way right now. We've had some storms move in earlier that produced some severe weather in portions of western of Kentucky. Now we're dealing with this stronger line moving through portions of southeast Missouri, still keeping a close eye on some of those stronger storms moving towards Dunklin County. Again, we do have, though, those severe thunderstorm warnings out for central and southern portions of Cape Girardeau County, Scott County, as well as some northern portions of New Madrid County. The tornado warning has not been extended into that area. We're still seeing those 2 warnings that are issued until 3:50 heading into southern portions of Boulder County and northern portions of Stoddard County. That is what we are watching right now. That is the main premise. But again, with any of these storms, it is more than likely it will be noisy. There will be lots of lightning. There will be very strong winds and the possibility of some small hail. But let's zoom back in again, keep you caught up. If you are not exactly sure what's going on, you're just tuning in, we are watching 2 areas right now that have those tornado warnings on them. One of them is heading towards Advance. The other one is heading towards Bloomfield. Let's get a little bit of a closer look to see in this first one if we can kind of see what's going on, what roads it's going near. Again, if you are in this tornado warning, more than likely you will want to get to your safe spot, get into a basement, get into the most interior room that you have with as many walls around you. I even say if you don't have a basement, and there's no shame, possibly put a helmet on your head, especially if you are going to be on an upper level floor such as in an apartment if you can't get to a lower level. That's something we are going to watch. A lot of this moving a little bit closer towards Advance right now, towards State Highway O. We're seeing some a little bit of stronger activity heading over right now, New Lisbon, and that is something that we're going to be watching. Let's see if we can even see a little bit of the winds. Still seeing some of these bright colors. Looking at a little bit more rotation just to the south of New Lisbon right now. We're going to go back and we are going to see what this is looking like on reflectivity. Let's take a look at our scope. See what this is looking like, if we can see some of this rotation in this as it will continue to move through. Still seeing a little bit of rotation near Advance as we go south. We're still seeing a little bit of rotation as we head further south, but we're going to go back to this and we're going to kind of zoom out and let's take a full look at what it's going to look like for our cell just off to the south of this. Again, I don't think we have had any tornado confirmation at the moment, but even if we haven't had that confirmation, having these warnings out is something we do have to take with caution and take and act as if there is a tornado possible. That is why those warnings are put out, especially if we are dealing with the chance of some of these strong storms moving through. Grant, you have some information?
Yeah, I do. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning out that I wanted to talk about for all of Dunkling County and parts of Pemiscot County. It's for this line that is south of Neelyville down towards Paragould. I've been getting reports on my Facebook page of a lot of wind damage. We have some folks in northeast Arkansas that are following us as well. And this is headed towards Malden and towards Kennett. Now, we don't see any rotation in this activity, but we are concerned with 60-mile-per-hour winds. Just to the north of Malden, we're starting to see new development right here. This could be our next system we have to watch closely as it moves towards New Madrid. And then again, just north of Dexter is where we've been seeing the possibility of that spinning. Now, I wanted to point out that both of the circulations are still there. They are a little broader. What that means is the bright red and the bright green aren't touching each other. They're spread out a little bit. Same story up here near Advance. That doesn't mean the threat is over, and I can't imagine we're not at least getting wind damage with this because of the reports that we've been getting from this line of storm. So for you folks in Advance, Chaffee, Whitewater, also Delta, Cape Girardeau, Sykeston, other areas in Scott County, Oran, this is all headed your way, so I would expect to see some power outages at the least and the possibility of some tree damage and some structural damage if these spin up again even tighter.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's not something we need to hear because with the storms that have moved through, many people have been losing power, many people dealing with flooding issues as well as tree damage across the heartland. Not going to be good news. And these lines that are moving through, we're actually going to zoom back out and take another quick look at the heartland. Yeah, they are going to be pretty efficient rain producers, bringing some very heavy rain very fast. We still have those flash flood warnings out for Ripley and Carter County when that line first entered some of our western counties. But notice as it's continuing to move, it's actually strengthening a little bit, and that's why we're seeing some bow shapes within this line, as well as those couple areas of rotation that Grant just pointed out. He also pointed out that area in some of our southern counties, Dunkling County and moving into western portions of Pemiscot County, that will be affected by that thunderstorm moving through. So let's actually zoom into that area and see if we can get a track on that to kind of get a broader idea of when that may be impacting you if you are in this area in the boot heel. Again, strong thunderstorms moving through right now. This is something that we really are going to continue to stay on air with and watch as this line will stick with us, looking to be for the next several hours possibly. So we're going to put about a track on that approximately. Kenton, it should reach you at about 3:32. Freeborn 3:40. Hayti at 4:06. Some very strong winds with this, as well as the possibility of maybe some small hail, but very heavy rain. The winds are going to be a main factor when we start to continue to see these lines move through, not just in our southern counties, but also stretching all the way up to our northern counties. This line, again, we've had a couple of them yesterday. We're seeing some more today. We saw some more rain and some very gusty winds on Friday. Not looking to be the best, but again, this is something we're going to have to deal with. We do have some good news though. It looks like we'll have a little bit drier conditions as we head into next week. Unfortunately, we really just have to get through today first and dealing with some of these stronger storms that we're seeing move through this afternoon. Let's try to zoom into this area again. This is where we have those 2 tornado warnings out until 3:50. This is going to be for southern portions of Bollinger County, northern portions of Stoddard County, and this has not been extended into Cape Girardeau County or Scott County, but it is possible that if this holds its strength and the rotation, we could see that carry on. Grant?
Yeah, I told you wrong earlier, Lisa. It's 3:15, not 3:50.
Oh,
that was
okay.
No, that's my fault. At 3:15. Now I would expect something to get extended here shortly, but I wanted to show a track for the folks in southern Illinois, the folks in western Kentucky, and northwestern Tennessee. This is a 2.5-hour track on the line of storms at its current speed. So we have to deal with this for 2.5 more hours. By 5:40, this activity should be moving out of the area if it stays at its current rate. So for you folks in southern Illinois and western Kentucky and northwestern Tennessee, you've got some time to start planning, to start charging up those devices, because I'm telling you, my Facebook page has been lit up with pictures of power poles being snapped, trees down, widespread power outages. It's headed your way next, and we want to give you your first alert to give you plenty of time to charge up those devices.
That's great. Thanks for that advance notice, especially for where these storms are going to be moving next. We want to thank everyone for sending in those pictures, because what we can analyze here, we can't physically see since we are not out in the field analyzing these storms face to face. So getting any kind of feedback, pictures, telling us what's going on in your area is very, very beneficial. We're continuing to keep an eye, though, on these two areas that are having those stronger storms move through right now. Let's take a look at this, though. Lots of lightning. This is not a system you're going to want to be outside. Probably going to be very loud too, as these storms will continue to move through in the next several hours. That is why we are watching this, especially a couple of these areas that are having these stronger thunderstorms right now. We're still seeing a little bit of that rotation just to the north of Advance. As Grant said, looking a little bit broader, but still an area to watch. And looks like as we head south, some of that rotation that was just to the north of Dexter also looking to be a little bit broader as well. No confirmation of a tornado. We don't have any debris on the radar right now, which is good. I'd rather have the warnings and be safe than sorry, having everyone be in their safe spot, rather than having a tornado confirmed on the ground and putting more people in danger. That is exactly what we do not need. But we're still going to be tracking those warnings at least for another 4 minutes. That will be continuing to move. Notice those severe thunderstorm warnings still out for Cape Girardeau County, Scott County, northern portions of New Madrid County, and we're going to continue to carry on some of those warnings that we're having in the Boot Heel. When this line moves through again, not only are we going to be dealing with the chance of some rotation, which is why we're seeing those two tornado warnings out right now, but also the chance of some very heavy rain and very strong winds. We could be dealing with winds between 60-70 mile per hour gusts. That is more than likely going to cause some structural damage for people, as well as possibly some damage to trees and possible uprooting, since the grounds are very, very saturated. We've been dealing with rain and rain and rain as we have been heading through the past several days, not looking to be the best. So let's actually zoom in to this area where one of these warnings is, even though it's only a couple of minutes. Still going to keep a close eye on this. We're still seeing some of the stronger activity where we're having these tornado warnings right now. This is heading over Advance. This will soon be making its way towards Delta as well as Bell City. If you are in these areas, just make sure that you possibly want to be in your safe spot, even if you don't have that tornado warning, because these stronger storms are starting to move through right now. If you are driving along State Highway O, probably want to be off the road, getting into your safe spot as well. We are going to zoom down actually to our next warning. Those storms looking a little bit weaker, but still moving over Bloomfield. That's going to move towards State Highway AB, making its way towards Sykeston a little while after. Sykeston not under that tornado warning, but it is still under that severe thunderstorm warning. These strong storms are going to continue, looks like, to move through in the afternoon along this stronger line. Let's see if we even have a little bit of hail in this. Some storms have been having reports of some small hail. We had some of that. It is possible we could be dealing with a little bit of hail near Bloomfield. We could be dealing with a little bit of hail up near Advance as these storms are continuing to move through. Very strong updrafts in these. That is going to help with some of that hail possibly developing. But let's zoom out again. We'll take an outer look, I guess, at what's going on in the heartland. Lots of activity. Our eastern counties, it's calm now, but if this holds strength, it is going to continue to move into portions of southern Illinois, western Kentucky, and Tennessee very shortly. Definitely have a couple more hours possible of strong to severe thunderstorms as we are moving through the afternoon hours. A lot of that activity in portions of southeast Missouri and the Boot Heel, if you are just tuning in. We still do have those severe thunderstorm warnings out right now for some of our southern counties in the Boot Heel. We're going to zoom into that. That is going to be for Clay County, the Arkansas, that's where that warning has been. That's where those storms have been coming from, but moving into Duncan County as well as western portions of Pemiscot County. Could be seeing some gusty winds close to 60 mile per hour and very heavy rain. Let's put another track on this. So if you are in some of our southern counties in the Boot Heel, you can kind of get at least a little bit of an idea of where that's going to be heading within the next hour and a half. Notice it should be reaching Malden about 3:36, Caruthersville at 4:60 416, 433 at Tiptonville. If this holds strength, again, more than likely you're expected to see some very, very gusty winds moving through. And that's something that we're going to continue to watch for, though. Those gusty winds have been kind of stubborn and have been an issue that we've been dealing with over the past several days with these lines moving in. So Grant, you have another update on what's going on?
Yeah, we have a new tornado warning that has been issued for a good chunk of Scott County. This is from Chaffee south. Oran, you're under this warning as well. New circulation developing just to the south of Advance. For you folks in Cape Girardeau County and where the airport is in northern Scott County, don't let your guard down. There looks to be a new circulation developing just to the south of Whitewater that's going to be headed out of Delta towards the Dalhousie area and southern Cape Girardeau if that continues to strengthen up. We've had lots of reports of wind damage with this system, but again, this is a new tornado warning that has just been issued. Let me see if I can get the particulars on the time if I click on this for us. And yeah, there we go, until 3:45. Well, I just did it twice. So until 3:45 is when we have that tornado warning out for Stoddard County and Scott County, and it includes the Oran area. I know I had somebody on Facebook just a minute ago a little concerned, and that's you, Moran. You need to be in your safe spot. So Lisa, I just wanted to pass along that new tornado warning that has just been issued.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Grant. That is an area that we have been keeping a very close eye on, especially with rotation there. Some of it was weakening. We said becoming a little bit more broad, but it's still strong enough to where we're thinking that that warning should definitely be extended. Let's zoom into this area that has that new warning on it, especially because that's going to be heading towards Interstate 55, where some people are traveling, but it is not there yet. This looks to be moving towards Pike right now. Bell City, if you are in this area, get into your safe spot right away. This stronger storm is moving towards you, but notice we're also going to have a couple other towns in the way, moving towards Oran and Van Duser. If you're on Missouri 91, you will not want to be on that road. You want to get inside, get off the roads, take shelter in the lowest portion of your building where you are staying right now. Possibly a basement is the best opportunity. If you don't have a basement, getting to the most interior portion of where you're staying with a lot of walls to get you away from the possibility of a tornado when these lines are moving through. Again, this is the new warning that's out. Grant said this is out until 3:45, so we're still going to be on for a little bit less than a half an hour, but as long as these warnings are continuing, we're still going to be on air making sure that you are aware and giving you that first alert of the strong storms coming your way to make sure that you are going to be safe. Let's put a track on this. This is currently going to be moving right now. Again, we are moving it into Scott County. I know it's hard to see because I'm going red over red here, but at least for the next 25 minutes, Bell City at 3:18, Van Duser at 3:32, Oran at 3:37. This is going to be continuing to moving. The lines have been picking up speed a little bit from when they first entered our western counties, but you want to get into the lowest portion of your building that you are staying in to stay safe. Get away from the windows. I know a lot of people want to go outside and look. The storms look ominous. They sometimes can look beautiful, but it is not going to be a smart idea, especially if you're in one of these areas that is having a tornado warning in place right now. Again, this has been extended into Scott County. We are going to have to watch it very closely for some portions of southern Illinois to see if this can be continuing into that area. But as long as we're going to be hanging on to the strength of this and hanging on to some of the rotation, we will be keeping you up to date and staying on air for what is going on. There's that rotation we're seeing right now just to the south of Bell City. Again, this is going to continue to move through. Let's see if we're seeing any kind of debris. Not seeing any kind of debris, which is a good thing. Again, we'd rather have those warnings rather than having a confirmed tornado on the ground, but I think Grant's got some new information. You're going to update us?
Yeah, I want to update everybody, and you know, this is, I know we're talking about a lot of different areas, but this is kind of for selfish reasons because this is headed right towards my house. This is really strengthening right here, this circulation just to the west of Delta, and this is going to head towards the Dutchtown area and then the southern areas of Cape Girardeau, as you can see here. No official tornado warning out on this. There is a severe thunderstorm warning with the possibility of a tornado wording, but this is really beginning to tighten up. We have a downburst surge right along Highway 25 there, and it's starting to wrap up. So we know the roundabout right here at 77 and 25 just east of Delta. That's going to be there in about 5 minutes. It's going to be towards the Dalhousie area in about 15 minutes. Again, this is a new developing circulation. We do not officially have a tornado warning out on it yet. But if you live in Whitewater, Delta, Dutchtown, you need to be in your basement. This is a tight circulation that continues to form and is moving off to the east-northeast at 50 miles per hour. And if I lived on the south side of Cape Girardeau like I do, and all my neighbors that hear me, I'd get to my basement right now. Get in your basement until this passes. It'll be through your area in about 20 to 30 minutes. So again, this is a new developing circulation. It is headed towards the southwestern side of Cape Girardeau. I just wanted to point that out, Lisa, as this is getting a lot stronger over the past 5 minutes.
No, that's good. I'm happy you did. That's why we have another set of eyes. Grant has been great at helping out, kind of doing what he likes to do a little bit more, seeing things behind the scenes and digesting what's really going on. We have many warnings out right now. Not only that new tornado warning for Scott County, but as Grant said, really paying attention to that some redevelopment of rotation that seems to be tightening up a little bit in southern portions of Cape Girardeau County. You will want to be aware. We're giving you that first alert. This is why we're staying on air. This strong line of storms continuing to move to the east through the heartland, not impacting our northern counties as much, but it is going to move through some of our central counties, especially within the next several hours. So we are going to kind of give you at least a rundown again of some of the areas that we are watching. We're going to be heading towards the boot heel. We still have those severe thunderstorm warnings out, especially moving into portions of Dunklin County now, and that will be making its way towards western portions of Pemiscot County. We're going to put a line track on this, and then we're going to get right back to the tornado warnings that will be shortly after, at least for the next hour. This is what it's looking like if you're in this area. 322 at Kennett, 354 at Steele, 414 at New Madrid. That will be the time that this line will start to move into your area. Expect very heavy rain, as well as the possibility of flooding with some of the rain coming down at the rates it is, and very strong winds. With some of these lines, you know, we've been dealing with winds that could be possibly 60, 70 miles per hour, and that is going to be a little bit of a concern, especially since people have had reports we've been getting of structural damage and tree damage outside. If you have anything loose before these storms move in, you might want to go tie them down, but I really recommend do not go outside when these storms are coming through. Not looking to be the best kind of storms that we're dealing with, especially when we start to have these tornado warnings that are on them. We're actually going to zoom back into this area. We're seeing a round of stronger storms moving very close towards Cape Girardeau right now, as well as that tornado warning that is in effect. Again, this is to the south of Advance. We've been dealing with some of the circulation that has been continuing to hold right there, making its way towards Orrin, and it's going to be just to the south of Chaffee. Also, some of that stronger rotation that has been starting to tighten up, as Grant said, that is moving into portions of southern Cape Girardeau County. No warning on that, but again, it is something that we are still going to be keeping a very close eye on. Let's try to zoom into this a little bit more to let you know, if you are in this area, what you might have to look out for. It is moving to the east of Pike right now. We're going to put a track on this, so you can at least see where this will be heading within the next short period of time. I'm putting it out just a little bit ahead of this, but by 3:30 it should be at Orrin, at 3:39 New Hamburg. This is going to be coming out, this warning staying with us until 3:45. So Grant, do you have some new information to let us know about?
Absolutely. That couplet I was watching, new tornado warning has just been issued, and this does include the city of Cape Girardeau. It includes the Dutchtown area. It's for that circulation I zoomed in on. You can see it also includes for all of us here at the station. So we're going to be watching this closely as it is moving our way, and it'll be in the southern areas of Cape Girardeau probably in about 15 minutes. That circulation is tightened up, and that's why the new tornado warning was issued. So we do have that tornado warning that we just showed you when I interrupted earlier with that couplet that was over Whitewater and near the Delta area. It is moving in towards the southern parts of Cape Girardeau, so along Highway 74 near Dalhousie, all along Bloomfield, all the way in towards, if you live near the Jefferson Elementary School, if you live around Shawnee Parkway, all these areas, this is where that rotation is headed, and it extends into into northern Alexander County in southern Illinois. It does include the Tams area. It also includes East Cape Girardeau. So that's a new tornado warning that has just been issued. Let me click on it so we can get the time that it'll expire, but we do have that new tornado warning out, and that is until 3:23 in the afternoon. You can see that 51,000 people are in this warning. So, Lisa, I just wanted to get you the latest on that newest warning.
Do we know when that warning goes out till, since it was issued at 3:23?
Oh, it was issued at 3:23. Yes, thank you. Until 4 p.m. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Okay, so we still have that one warning that we were focusing on. That is right here. This is in Scott County, and that is in effect until 3:45. So we still have at least another 20 minutes on this warning right here. Again, we're going to track this moving towards some of these areas. If you are in any of these towns, if you are on Missouri 91, if you're on Highway 61, get in your safe spot. We want you to get into the lowest portion of your building. A basement is best if you do not have a basement, possibly getting into the most interior room with as many walls around you, possibly even putting on a helmet. We have not had confirmation of a tornado, which is good, but we are having many areas dealing with at least some sort of rotation, which really is why we are keeping a very close eye on these tornado warnings and these storms as they move through. Let's take a look at this next warning, which we are keeping a very close eye on. It is moving off to the east now of Whitewater, heading over Delta, Dutchtown, Chaffee, Scott City, Cape Girardeau. These are all areas that have very heavy populations within them. So it is something that we have to watch. This looks to be continuing on into some portions of southern Illinois. That will be northern portions of Alexander County. And as this moves through, again, more than likely, we're going to be having not only some rotation in this, very heavy rain, and this is an area that has had, especially along Illinois Route 3, very heavy rain and flooding concerns. But let's put a line track on this when this storm will continue to move through, and especially these areas that are under this tornado warning, what we possibly could be seeing, because it is going to be moving very quickly. This line has picked up in speed since it's originally moved into our western counties, looking to reach Chaffee at about 3:31, Cape Girardeau at 3:38. That's in 10 minutes if you are in Cape Girardeau. Scott City at 3:44, Thebes at 3:52, and Commerce at 3:55. Again, if you are in this path, you're going to want to get inside. Don't be on the roads, especially when we have this heavy line of rain moving through and stronger storms, as well as some rotation in this. Luckily, I think we're seeing this move through a little bit quickly rather than this continuing to hold at a slower pace moving through the heartland, but still, nonetheless, with these two tornado warnings out, we do have to take them very seriously and make sure you get into your safe spot rather than going outside, taking pictures. If you are outside, especially if you're not in some of these warning areas, but if you have any kind of reports, if your power is out, if you have damage, all the kind of information people are sending in, it has been very, very helpful, especially with us being in here, not really having the closest eyes on being outside, since we have to be monitoring the radar and the storms moving through. Grant is going to take it from me for a minute to kind of see what's going on.
A quick update. New severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Pemiscot County, and it wouldn't surprise me if New Madrid gets filled in as well. We did have a 58-mile-per-hour wind reported with this system. I think it was in Malden as the line moved through. So that's definitely severe winds. We've got a report of funnel cloud with this. We don't know if it's on the ground, but we have had damage with this storm, so we probably ought to assume that there's a tornado moving across. It's just entering the Oran area. It'll be out of Oran in about 5 to 10 minutes, but it's moving through central Scott County. And then, of course, there's that other circulation that we were watching closely that was headed into the Whitewater area. The Whitewater circulation has broadened just a bit, but it's still right there. Here's where the funnel cloud was reported, and then there's a third circulation right here. So there's 3 possible tornadoes we're watching right now, one in southern Cape Girardeau County and 2 moving across Scott County as we speak. So that's the latest. New severe thunderstorm warning has been issued for Pemiscot County, and we did have a funnel cloud, and we continue to get reports of damage.
Well, at least, we have not had any exact reports right now of tornadoes on the ground, but when we have these warnings, we have to act like there is a possible tornado still, especially when we are continuing to look at this strong line of storms moving in. Again, as Grant mentioned, we have that new severe thunderstorm warning out for some of our southern counties. We're going to zoom into that, put a track on that, just so you are aware when it might be impacting your area right now. That looks like it's also been extended into portions of Lake County and western portions of Obion County. But as this continues to move through, again, very strong winds, very heavy rain. Not looking to have a lot of rotation in some of our southern counties. It's mainly going to be the winds and heavy rain moving through. Here's a couple areas that if you are in, again, those stronger storms moving your way in southern portions of Missouri and the Boot Heel heading towards western Tennessee. But again, that main impact we really need to focus on is some of our central counties that will be in portions of Scott County and Cape Girardeau County, especially with those stronger storms continuing to move through and even producing those tornado warnings, which we are seeing right now. So let's take a closer look at this, try to get you some updates depending on where you are, where you might have to be, and where you might have to avoid if you are traveling right now. I would say if you're Cape Girardeau heading south and continuing to head south towards Scott County, probably not going to want to be here right now. We have been tracking, again, several areas of rotation. That is going to be a concern, especially as we're heading through the next several hours. Again, there you go. We have a new severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued, looking to push into, maybe Grant has a little bit more information.
It's
but
kind of a blanket warning just out ahead of this whole line. This is going to be a blanket warning for southeastern or southwestern Illinois, parts of western Kentucky, and like we said, New Madrid County and now Mississippi County, just getting ahead of this line of storms because we've had such high winds with this situation. We still have a possible tornado that's moving into southwestern Cape Girardeau. We still have a possible tornado, two possible tornadoes moving through central Scott County right now. Haven't really noticed any tornado threat, at least immediately with the storms that are south of Sikeston. This is mainly just a strong gusty wind threat with winds gusting over 60 miles per hour. Now, with that said, the atmosphere is set up for quick little spin-up type tornadoes anywhere along this line. But the greatest threat for a tornado right now is in the city of Cape Girardeau, the city of Scott City, Oran, and headed just to the north of Sikeston in Scott County. So we're going to continue to watch this, of course, throughout the day. Thankfully, we haven't had any more damage reports coming in a little while. Had a lot of damage reports just out to the west of Cape Girardeau, but so far we haven't had a lot of new damage reports. So that can be some good news, and hopefully that trend continues.
Yeah, we're going to hope that that trend does stay with us. Well, we might have some more reports coming in later on once this line does move through and people get outside and see if they do have any kind of damage. Very strong winds with this line, but again, we're watching a couple areas of rotation. One is going to be just to the south of Cape Girardeau. We're still having that tornado warning that will be just to the west of Morley, but as this will be moving through, let's check and see if there's any kind of debris. Have not had any reports right now of any kind of tornado, but it is something that we are going to continue to watch as long as these warnings are still in effect and we're moving through the next several hours. Let's zoom in a little bit more. We're going to zoom into where a couple of these warnings are, and we're also going to be tracking the chance of some of these tornado warnings moving through where you should and should not be. Again, if you are in this area, especially with this heading towards Cape Girardeau, moving over Dutchtown right now, if you are on Interstate 55, please note that you are going to have a line of very strong storms. Even if you continue to head south, we're still going to be having that very strong line moving through. It is going to be approaching Chaffee right now. If you are anywhere in this path, really get into your safe spot, get into the lowest building, or the lowest portion of your building, I should say, that you have, such as a basement. Get into the most interior portion that you can of your building that you are in. If you can't get into a basement, again, have the more walls around you, the better it is. Possibly even be wearing a helmet. No confirmation of any kind of funnel or tornado, but we do have to act when we have these warnings as if there is a tornado, just to be on the safe side. Again, with these systems moving through, very heavy winds, lots of rain, more than likely it might even be hard to see it when we get some of these little spin-ups, especially since some of these spin-ups are very very quick. So let's dip down here, putting a track on this. It is moving very quickly to the east. If you're in any of these areas, here is the approximate timing that it will reach you. In about 5 minutes, Cape Girardeau 3:40, Scott City 3:45, East Cape Girardeau at 3:46, Thebes at 3:53. We're going to continue to track these. Again, lots of people live in this area. We want to give you that first alert to take cover now because of this tornado warning that is still in effect and has even been something that will be moving into portions of southern Illinois in Alexander County. Again, this is one of the areas that we are watching. Let's see if we can zoom down a little bit farther to this other area where we still have that tornado warning. That is moving over Orrin right now, making its way towards Benton. A lot of people living in this area as well. If you are on Interstate 55, again, still driving south, you really do not want to be on the road. Do not stop under underpasses or overpasses. Don't stop under the overpasses because that is going to be kind of a wind producer, more likely going to have stronger winds and can be a lot more dangerous. So if you can not want to be on the roads in this situation, get into a building, get into your safe spot right now if possible. Let's put another track on this, especially for this area that has that second tornado warning out right now. That is going to be for at least another 15-20 minutes again. Benton at 3:35, Lusk at 3:53. Continuing to make its way off to the east, moving at about 50 miles an hour. So again, the speed of these have definitely picked up, but these storms moving into some very popular areas, you're going to want to take cover. Don't go outside with these. Very strong winds, could have 60, possibly even 70-mile-per-hour winds. We've seen with some of these, not having a ton of damage reports, but it is something that we're going to be keeping a close eye on. So we're going to zoom out really quickly, kind of give you a new update and view of what is going on in the heartland. Again, a lot of activity today. We've had many days in the past of just thunderstorms and more thunderstorms. I know we all want them gone, and we will later on this week. We just kind of have to get through today especially. A large line of severe warnings out for those strong thunderstorms moving through. More than likely kind of giving you a heads up, especially if you're in portions of western Kentucky, Tennessee, southern Illinois. We are seeing those storms continuing to move through, having some very strong winds. Looks like we actually got a couple of nice shots right now. We have the storm tracker out there, and as we can see, I don't know if Grant, you know exactly what direction this camera is pointing at the top?
Now, this monitor, it's a little dirty. Put this behind Lisa real quick if you can, because it's going to show better with her standing in front of it. That's our storm tracker, and what I wanted to show is we've got the storm that is. I'm
going to move out so you can get a full view.
Yeah, we've got the storm that is. If you can't do it, there you go. Okay, that's the base. You can see the rain-free base right there, and it almost looks like there's a little funnel cloud that's trying to form right next to the rain shaft.
And that's going to be, I don't know, I guess you can't see it, but it is. It's right there.
And that's just west of us. Boy, you can see it trying to form right there. Look at that. So there we've got a funnel that's trying to form right there on the updraft of the thunderstorm. Lisa, you can see that. It's a little thin funnel.
Right.
And you can walk back in front of it now, Lisa. They've got it set up for you. Yeah, you can see there's the wall cloud, and that would be like the little funnel we were watching trying to develop right there. We're taking this shot from the roof of our building here. So we're going to continue to track that. And as I look at the velocity,
move out so you can see.
It is not as tight as it was just a second ago, so hopefully that continues. But if it tightens up, that is, you can see that rain shaft and it looks like a new funnel is trying to form right there in the rain shaft. And again, this right here, we're looking west. We are looking right over Benton Hill Road. We're looking right, that's kind of right where the Walmart is, possibly, in that general area. So if you live near that vicinity, that's where we're watching the possibility of a tornado that could be developing. Now, what's behind me here? Which one is this? That's the tower cam, okay. And we're looking more to the south. Oh, we're looking to the north, I think. It's hard to tell.
It is hard. That little funnel kind of dissipates just a little bit, but as Grant said, this is all that heavy rain, but this is that area that we are going to be watching for some of that rotation where it has been.
And just because we don't have a condensation funnel down to the ground doesn't mean there's not anything on the ground, because a lot of times, especially in this type of situation, just the spin goes all the way up to the cloud. But I wanted to point that out. Roger, our news director, jumped up there real quick because we knew that storm was headed towards the station. So we had a pretty good view of the base of that cloud. And again, that's kind of on the north end now of, as I look at it on radar, that is going to be probably near State Highway K, just to the north of that. It's getting close to Old Hopper Road right now. And it's not on the ground, but that's the rotation we're tracking. And so we've got a pretty good view of it. I don't know how much longer we're going to be able to have that view, because it's about to storm pretty hard on top of Roger, who is sitting on the roof right now trying to get us this information. But boy, that is definitely a wall cloud and a funnel at times. You can really see it. It's really pronounced. You can see underneath your finger there that little wedge coming down.
Yep.
So we've got a great view of this. I don't know for how much longer we're going to have this view, but again, we're watching a rotating thunderstorm moving across the western parts of Cape Girardeau right now, and we're starting to lose the contrast because of the rain. So that was some great. It
was a great shot.
Yeah, and it helps us see what's going on. So yeah, that was definitely a wall cloud and a funnel that was forming, and that was right over the western parts of Cape Girardeau. And so now we're talking about, when I look at the radar, you see, we can see it moving, and the radar, we get updates every 2 minutes or so. Nothing like it being live. And so that rotation now, based on its current movement, is near Mount Auburn and Old Hopper. So near Mount Auburn and Old Hopper is where we're seeing that possible rotation as it's moving across the western parts of Cape Girardeau, and it's about to cross over into Kings Highway. You can see the rain shaft moving very, very fast towards the area. You see how the trees are fuzzy, and you can see we're looking west down Broadway, and that's about to just get overcome with strong winds and very heavy rainfall. So we've lost the view because of the rain, but that nothing like seeing it live, and I appreciate our news director, Roger, jumping up there and getting that for us.
Yeah, that really is a great shot. Kind of gives you a perspective of what you might be seeing outside versus what we're seeing in here, because the radar can only show so much, but that live view really gives you a great depiction of what we are dealing with right now. So we do have, again, that severe thunderstorms warnings pretty much all the way down from our central to southern counties in the Boot Heel, western Kentucky, western Tennessee. We're going to zoom back in again to these two areas that are dealing with those tornado warnings right now. And especially that one that is right near Cape Girardeau, that is the area of most concern at the moment. We did see that little funnel that was in there trying to form. Not a tornado because it did not reach the ground, but very heavy rain with this. It is more than likely that if there is some sort of funnel or tornado, more than likely won't be able to see a lot of it because of all this rain that we're dealing with. But again, we are tracking this very closely. We're going to zoom out just a tad to see if we can get a little bit of a view. Heavy rain starting to fall now in Cape Girardeau. Let's take a look at the scope, see if we can see what kind of shear we're having in the atmosphere, see if we're getting any kind of spin continuing just like what we saw. We had that little bit of rotation by Cape Girardeau. Looks like we're having a little bit possibly to the south by Scott City. If we're getting any debris signatures, hopefully we're not, because we really don't want any kind of tornado. Not seeing any kind of debris as we're heading through that, which is good. Even though we saw that funnel, that little view, not seeing any debris is a good thing. What we are going to be dealing with most of this, as it will continue to move through, very, very heavy rain that is going to be blinding if you are driving on the roads, contributing to possible flash flooding as well. And very, very gusty winds. Could have wind gusts 60, 70 miles per hour possible. But we're going to put a track on this. Again, if you are in this area, we're still having that tornado warning extending out into portions of Alexander County. Within the next 20 minutes, this is the path that it is going to be on. It is going to be heading towards McClure, but 347 Scott City, 403 Olive Branch. If you are in any of these areas, even in Cape Girardeau, get to your safe spot. giving you that first alert that we are having that line of strong storms. Tornado warnings are possible. We've had some tight rotation at times, which is why we are staying on air to make sure that everyone is aware and staying safe as these lines move through. If you are in any kind of area right now where those warnings are out, looks like we have some of those tornado warnings just to the south of us that have been extended outwards, but that is something that we are going to be keeping a close eye on. Get into the lowest portion of your house, get into a basement, get into an area that has more walls in between you than anywhere else if you don't have a basement such as a bathroom. Grant, do you have any new updates on these tornado warnings that are moving in right now?
Yeah, we just got a new warning that was just issued, and this does include parts of Scott County. It's that circulation that you were showing near Benton. It's really tightening up right now. This is headed towards the Alexander County area, and also parts of Pulaski County in southern Illinois are under this warning. This warning is for a possible tornado. Now, we did get an unconfirmed report with this cell that there was a tornado that has touched down. Now, again, we don't have a confirmation. It was just kind of hearsay right now, but the circulation was very, very tight. This tornado warning was issued at, and I don't know why it's not giving me the cancellation time. It's only giving me the issue time. Let's see if I click on it again and give me the cancellation time. This tornado warning will go out until 4:15 this evening. A tornado warning out, and again, that's for Alexander County, Mississippi County, Pulaski County, and Scott County for that circulation that you have been tracking very well in near the central parts of Scott County. Now, I want to zoom in real quick while I got you here. Here's the circulation that's tightened up right over Interstate 55, just to the south of Benton. This is why the new tornado warning has been issued. Now, I want to give a little good news now. We're going to go back up because we were talking about Old Hopper Road and headed towards the Kings Highway area. On radar, that rotation has basically just dissipated. So I don't think we're going to see an extension of that tornado warning, even though we had that funnel cloud form on camera. That's probably was when the circulation was a little tighter, and now we're seeing rain-cooled air kind of cutting off, I think, the updraft, what was causing that circulation. Not saying we won't get a new one, but this circulation has weakened significantly. The main circulation right now is what Lisa's been showing us in the central parts of Scott County. It looks pretty tight right now. Yeah. There it is, Lisa, right over Highway 77.
Now, do we have a time and when this new warning is going to expire? I know that has been extended.
4:15.
4:15. Okay, so this is what we're looking at right here. That we are having a little bit of some tight rotation in this. Something that we are continuing to watch. Again, that warning is for Scott County, but also that tornado warning has been extended for Alexander and Pulaski County. And notice this, the winds right now. This is something that we do watch. We notice that green going towards the radar, red going away from the radar. That is that indication for us that we are seeing at least some sort of rotation within this. Now, when this line has moved through, we start to see these little divots. And even though we're having that curvature, which is showing us that we could have some very gusty winds, we start to get these little indications right here that can tell us that we can have some of these quick spin-ups, which is why we've had some of these spin-ups tighten within time and then redevelop. We even saw that funnel cloud. So let's take a close look at this right now, especially in this area where we were dealing with some of that tight rotation that has moved through. Again, that was just to the south of Benton. We can see that right there heading over Missouri 77. That will be making its way continuing towards Scott County on the eastern side and moving into southern portions of Illinois into Alexander County very shortly. Let's take a look at the debris signature, seeing if we can see anything. Not seeing anything on that debris signature, which is good. We really don't want to see anything regarding that. We're going to take a little bit of a closer zoom in, though, to this area to figure out what are some of the other roads and areas that this will be impacting, especially as we head through the next several minutes when this will be moving through. Again, this is that area we are watching moving over Missouri 77. That will be heading towards State Highway D very shortly. Again, if you're in southern Illinois or in any of these areas, you are going to want to get into your safe spot right now. Let's zoom out a little bit. We'll try to put a track on this so you at least have a good idea of where where this will be heading. Looks like it's actually heading off to the northeast right now, but with this line that has been continuing to move through over the past several hours, more than likely going to continue to hang on to some of these stronger storms. Over the next half an hour, here's the areas where that stronger line and where we're seeing that circulation still sit will be heading. At 3:59, it'll be heading towards Olive Branch. At 4:10, towards Tams. 4:15, Mounds. Looks to be moving to the northeast, close to about 50 miles per hour. So again, the storms have been picking up speed when they've been moving through. Very, very heavy rain producers. More than likely, if you're driving on the roads, not only are you going to be dealing with the heavy rain, but the strong winds, which will make it pretty poor visibility-wise if you have to be driving. When this continues to move through, again, we're still going to have that tornado warning. We're watching not only that little bit of rotation, but also that curvature. So very strong winds. We could be dealing with some wind gusts 60 to 70 miles per hour. If you're in this path, though, once again, giving you that first alert. The storms are continuing to move through. They are holding on to their strength. We're having some redevelopment of circulation, which is why we've been on air for so long. Multiple areas of these circulations. We even had that funnel cloud we saw in Cape Girardeau, but get into the lowest portion of the building you're in. Possibly the basement is the best option. If you are on an upper level floor and you don't have a basement, get into the most interior room. Typically, that's going to be a bathroom. You'll want to have more walls around you, maybe even wear a helmet just to be on the safe side if you don't have a basement. But looks like we're getting a new radar image right now coming in. It's continuing to move. Let's take a look and see if we can view some of the velocity right now, see if we can see if there's a new image. We're still seeing that tight circulation right there. That is just to the east of Interstate 55 on Missouri 77. That's going to continue to move off to the east. Again, we are watching this. That is an area that could possibly have some sort of funnel. Looks like we're not seeing any debris though, which is good. But again, it is still possible we could be having a funnel on the ground. We have to act like there could be a possible tornado. Of course, getting into your safe spot. Let's put a new track on this again, just because it is moving through and did update. I'm going to bend down a little bit here. Again, continuing to move over the next half an hour. Here's where it is looking to go. 4 o'clock, it'll be in Clank. At 4:06, Sandusky. And at 4:11, it will be approaching Mounds. Again, very heavy rain. More than likely, even if you do see a funnel, it might not even be there for long. The heavy rain looks to be moving in and kind of taking over. So we're watching a couple of those areas, especially with rotation. Let's zoom this out again and get a pretty good look of what's happening over most of the heartland. Again, a lot of this activity starting to make its way closer to our eastern counties. We are still having some light rain on the backside, still dealing with that flash flood warning in Carter and Ripley County, where those storms first initially came into the heartland. A lot of energy in the atmosphere still, which is why we're having these storms continue to stay strong and even having some spin-ups again with this line. We're going to zoom into some of our southern counties, kind of get a closer look at where this is going to be heading, especially if you are in the Boot Heel and portions of western Tennessee and Kentucky. As this line again continues to move through, it's already moving into Pemiscot County. It will be making its way towards Lake County in Tennessee very soon, making its way into Mississippi County now. That is one of our next areas that we will be tracking for these storms. Storms looking to be a little bit weaker than some of our northern areas, but not seeing as much rotation in our southern counties. Looks like with these storms, we are just tracking some very heavy rain and gusty winds that could be close to 60 miles per hour. It is possible to have some light hail within these as well, but again, let's put a track at least on this line that is continuing to move through. Looks like over the next hour, these are the areas it's going to be heading, not only moving into East Prairie and Mississippi County, but continuing to start to move into western portions of Kentucky. If you are in that area, or if you're in portions of western Tennessee, that's where it's going to be heading next, assuming that these storms hang on to their strength, which I do think they will. They have been moving moving to the east at about 50 miles per hour, picking up in speed a little bit, but again, very heavy rain producers and also dealing with some very gusty winds. Saturated ground not looking to be our best friend right now, especially with that rain continuing to fall down. More than likely could cause some flooding issues, especially low-lying areas, isolated flooding across other areas in the heartland. We're going to zoom back up and kind of get a better view of what's going on to the north of us, because we still have that severe thunderstorm warning out for Cape Girardeau County, not our northern portions, but a lot of our central and southern areas. Scott County, we're still tracking that tornado warning, and this is starting to move into southern Illinois. If you are in southern Illinois, you want to be prepared, giving you that first alert, especially Alexander County, Pulaski County. You'll want to get into your safe spot. We do have that tornado warning out, and that is still going to be something that we'll be watching more than anything as these storms will continue to move through. So let's take a closer look at this. We're going to go back down to where we had that initial rotation that we were tracking before, and that rotation, we're going to see if it's still there. If it is still there, if we can see it, looks like we could be dealing with possibly where that rotation is right there. We're still seeing that is moving off to the east of Interstate I-55, a little bit more to the north now. Looks like these storms are moving a little bit more to the east, northeast, or northeast. That is moving to the northeast of Missouri 77 towards State Highway N. Again, this is going to continue to move into portions of southern Illinois and Alexander County. I'm still watching a couple areas where we have had a little bit of rotation continue, but I don't think we're seeing anything with the debris, which is good. Grant, do you know if we've had any reports of any kind of damage or any reports of funnel clouds with this line continuing to move through right now?
The only funnel clouds we had was one that we showed. Well, there's been two reported funnel clouds. One we showed you on camera, and we haven't had much in the way of any touchdowns with this. Touchdowns with the tornadoes possibly. Now, we have had reports of power outages, over 1,000 customers without power in Stoddard County, and we're seeing over sporadic areas up to 100 and stuff in some of the other counties. Let's see, including Cape Girardeau's over 100 now, and Pemiscot County's 91 and Scott County's 93. I think that 93 in Scott County is going to go up just a bit because of what just went through there. But I can zoom in, and the circulation that Lisa's been covering for us. Hey, this is some good news. Look how broad this circulation is and how much lighter. We're not seeing that bright green color in there, which tells us two things. The rotation's getting wider and it's getting weaker. So if this trend continues, we will likely not see a continuation of that tornado warning. But until then, Lisa and I are going to stay here and keep you up to date, because we could still see some other problems spin up along this line from our southern areas down towards New Madrid and into the Caruthersville area. So far, just some strong winds being reported up to 60 miles per hour. We haven't had any much in the way of rotation showing up in this area.
That's good. You know, we really don't need any more kind of spin-ups. I know a lot of people are tired of the severe weather, but at least this is the one area that we have narrowed it down to right now that still has a little bit of rotation, as Grant just showed. It has become more broad and less vibrant with those green colors, which is good, but still going to be hanging on to that tornado warning as this will continue to move through. Let's see if it will tell me what time that this will be ending. I don't know if it will, but we can see if it will. Maybe it won't. Grant, do we know what time this warning is going to end at?
The tornado warning, I think.
can see when it's issued.
Yeah, click off, hit the erase and do it again. For some reason, our system doesn't. So yeah, now just hit the warning again. It should pop up. There you go, till 4 o'clock. I'm not sure why the system's doing that, but it is.
Well, just like you said, you know, that's only a couple minutes away. Hopefully that we will have this tornado warning dropped, but even with this line still moving through, notice we're seeing this curvature shape, more than likely going to be having some very strong wind gusts continuing to move through with this, as well as heavy rain. possibly because of these strong winds and the saturated grounds that we've been talking about due to all the storms that we've had, more than likely going to be having some tree damage, possibly even going to be having some trees maybe uprooted or blown over because the ground is so wet and we really don't have a lot of area for that rain to go. Unfortunately, this heavy rain is moving over Illinois 3 right now, and that is an area that has had substantial flooding and many of those roads closed down. So unfortunately, we are starting to see more rain continuing to fall in that area. We're going to zoom back out and take a look at what is happening across the entire heartland at this exact moment. So looks like a lot of our eastern counties staying in the clear right now, but that is going to change, especially if these storms continue to move east, holding on to some of that strength. Unfortunately, if you are in portions of southeast Missouri, still seeing some light rain on the backside of that, not necessarily the very heavy rain and not looking to be severe, but unfortunately still going to be tracking some of those showers. We still have that flash flood warning out for Ripley and Carter County right now, but we still have that line of strong to severe thunderstorms moving in through the boot heel. That looks like it is exiting, we'll zoom in here, exiting Dunklin County, but it is still present in Pemiscot County, New Madrid County, moving into Mississippi County, and this section right here is making its way towards Lake and Obion County very shortly. Looks to be weakening a little bit, but we're still going to be watching the chance for some of those stronger storms, not only of heavy rain, but also some very gusty winds. This is a system that does produce a lot of strong winds, which unfortunately is not something that we need. We're still going to be hanging on to some of those gusty conditions now, moving into portions of Mississippi County, heading towards East Prairie very shortly, as well as heading towards portions of western Kentucky. Again, the storm's moving through. We'll put a track on this so at least you will have an idea of when this line will be impacting you next. Let's see if we can do that and put a line on this for a second. Let's see, actually we're going to go back to this and see if we can put a line on that and see where this is going to be heading, especially as it continues over the next hour. These are the areas that it should be hitting. It should be hitting Hickman at 428, Cunningham at 446. Again, heavy rain as well as very gusty winds close to 60 miles per hour. More than likely, if you have anything loose outside, probably want to tie it down. Let's take a pan back up. We're actually going to go to some of our northern counties now, our central northern counties. Just south of Cape Girardeau, we're still having that tornado warning in effect. That's where we saw some of that tight rotation. The mass portion of this is in Alexander County, but notice it's just making its way towards the western edge of Pulaski County. That is something that we are going to continue to watch as long as we have this tornado warning still in effect. We are going to focus on this area, especially with this warning. So looks like it's moving over Olive Branch at the moment. Let's see if we have an update on our velocity to see if we have any kind of rotation in this still, or if it is still weakening. We have a little bit of it, but again, a lot of this is becoming more broad, not seeing a ton of tight rotation like we saw earlier on. We've had many areas of rotation, especially as we've moved through this afternoon. Again, these storms still looking to continue to move through, not seeing any kind of debris, which is good. We really don't want to have a tornado if we don't have to. But again, if you're still in this path, it is making its way towards Mounds as well as Tams and Grand Chain. I'd still be in your safe spot. Get into your basement, get into the most interior room that you have, especially a bathroom or something that has the most amount of walls around you, possibly even wearing a helmet. Don't go outside and take pictures of this. It is going to be dark. It is going to be very breezy, a lot of lightning, heavy rain. And again, also what we have been tracking is the probability of dealing with some rotation with these storms moving through. We're still going to put a track on this, especially since we have that tornado warning on it, just in case you're in any of these areas in southern Illinois, especially as we're heading out of Alexander County and more now into Pulaski County. This is going to be at least for the next half an hour, looking to move a little bit more towards the east-northeast. Mounds at 408, Dongola at 421, Perks at 427. Again, this is a very strong line of thunderstorms moving through, and as it is continuing to move about 50 miles per hour, They're only going to be having strong winds with them, but that could cause some structural damage. We have had some reports of it, as well as a probability of dealing with some trees that might be broken, limbs over the place, very wet grounds, especially with heavy rain moving in, and still some rotation, which is why we are hanging on to that tornado warning as it continues to move into Pulaski County. Now, if you're driving along Interstate I-57, this is going to be an area that you probably won't want to be on. You might want to pull off and take shelter, or if you're in any of these towns. This is going to be a concern, especially with this strong thunderstorm moving through, and even though we still have that tornado warning on it, going to be an area you will have to pay very close attention to, and you might have reduced visibility extremely because of the heavy rain and gusty winds. And even if there is a funnel, you probably won't be able to see it due to the amount of rain that will be coming down. It is going to be very heavy at times. Again, that rotation looking a lot broader and weaker, but still, you know, it's not out of the question that we couldn't see some of the rotations start to tighten once again and continue, or even have more rotation develop along this line as we head in through the next couple of hours. We're going to go back a little bit, and we're going to move north, where we're still having some of the storms in our northern counties. Don't want to leave you guys out either. We're having some of these stronger storms just entering Anna. They'll be heading towards Cobden soon. We'll put a line track on this, so at least you can get an idea if you are in this area where this will be approaching next, especially within the next half an hour. Anna at 406, again, that's moving in pretty much right now. 422 at Dongola, through 435 at Goreville. When this line moves through, not seeing a whole lot of rotation, but rather just seeing some gusty winds close to 60 miles per hour, as well as a chance again of some very heavy rain. So a lot of this looks to be in our central and southern counties, not seeing as much activity, especially as we kind of zoom out right here in our northern counties. We did have some storms to our north earlier. A lot of those have weakened, might just be dealing with some light rain, but that main impact is going to be our central and southern counties, with that strong line continuing to move through. It's strengthened. Looks to me, at least, it's slightly weakening, but again, you know, we still have that tornado warning out, and that is something that we are watching for southern Illinois, especially in Alexander County. We'll zoom back in again to anyone who is just tuning in right now, but Alexander County, Pulaski County, those are the two areas that are still in effect for this tornado warning that will be continuing to stick with us. Let's take another look to see how, if we have any more kind of spin. Doesn't look to be too tight rotation-wise. Looks like a lot of this is starting to weaken. I don't know if we'll be hanging on to the warning that much longer because of that, which is a good indication for us. We really don't want to have these tornado warnings. Grant, yes?
Yeah, I want to just keep you up to date. As you were focusing in on that, you were mentioning some good news, and I wanted to mention a little bit of good news as well. For you folks in northwestern Tennessee and western Kentucky and southeastern Illinois, I just analyzed the atmosphere, and the ingredients that are conducive for severe weather have diminished a lot. Now, there's still a lot of heat energy, but the wind energy to get these tornadoes to keep going has decreased. You may remember earlier this afternoon, I put on my Facebook page, the winds were fairly likely to cause some tornadoes at times, and that has changed. That has moved farther north, but there's no energy farther north, so that means that this line, as Lisa just said, will likely start to weaken. Now, we still have severe thunderstorm warnings. We'll probably get severe thunderstorm warnings for Paducah, Murray, Mayfield, also Union City, at least one more round, but the overall trend in the atmosphere says that this line should start to weaken in about an hour to an hour and a half. Let's hope that what the atmosphere is telling us is correct, Lisa.
Yeah, you know, I'm going to hope that too, especially since it's been a long round and a long day of tracking a lot of thunderstorms continuing to move through. You know, we're still going to put another track on this though, especially this area that is under that tornado warning, especially moving into Pulaski County again, at least for the next half an hour. These are the areas where it will be approaching. Just to be on the safe side, if you're in any of these areas in southern Illinois, still get into your safe spot, get into your basement, basement, get into a bathroom, or at least if you're in an upper level, some sort of interior room with a lot of walls around you. Do not go by the windows to go see what's going on outside. With stronger winds, it can be very, very dangerous. And heavy rain and gusty winds are going to be the other concern, especially when we have this moving through. But the tornado warning, even though it looks to be weakening a little bit, we still have to act on it as if it is a serious situation, because it is possible when these spin-ups we could have some circulation tighten up. But as Grant said, looks like the atmosphere doesn't look to be as conducive to see these kind of stronger storms lasting for an extended period of time. A lot of this looks to be weakening, which is good. It's just the only thing we'll be dealing with through the rest of the night is some very, very heavy rain, it looks like, which again could contribute to flooding issues and flash flooding concerns. Looks like the only area, again, we're going to zoom back out, especially since this is weakening, but the only area that we're really concentrating on those flash flood warnings for the heartland looks to be Carter and Ripley counties right now. Still seeing a lot of light rain moving behind this line, but notice all the yellows. So yes, we still have many areas that are under severe thunderstorm warnings when this line continues to move through. If you're in our northern counties, looks like you're going to be the lucky ones as we head into the next several hours. Still possibly could see some light rain through the night, but the key thing would be to get this out of here as quickly as we can. Definitely not been the best weekend having all these rounds of storms moving in again. Still tracking these storms now. We're going to take a closer look back into some of our southern counties where we have been dealing with those storms. Not necessarily having a lot of rotation, but they have been moving from Arkansas through the boot heel. A lot of this mainly having gusty winds close to 60 miles per hour, as well as the chance of some of it even had some small hail. Let's see if we even have some hail. I think a lot of this, as the trend is weakening, might not be dealing with as much as we are going through, which is good. A lot of this, again, as it continues to weaken, not really expected to see as much hail. It's mainly going to be the wind threat, especially when we're seeing still some of these brighter colors. More than anything, going to be having some gusty winds as this line will continue to move through as we head through the next hour or so. So let's actually put a track on this if you're in the boot heel, especially if you're in portions of western Tennessee right now. Again, even though this line is weakening, it's still something that we are going to track to see where it'll head next and if it will even impact you. I'm going to put a track on this for at least about the next hour. Looks to be in Dixie about 429, Union City 447, Fulton at 503, and Martin, Tennessee at 517. As this continues to move through again, it could hold its strength, but even if the warnings get dropped, more than likely still going to be dealing with some breezy winds as it moves through, as well as very heavy rain. The hail in this area, the threat really looks to have gone down a little bit, which is nice. I'd rather just have the rain. I think everyone would, rather than having some of these severe warnings that we have been dealing with throughout the afternoon. We're going to go further north a little bit. Now, the second portion right here, that is moving into the middle portion and eastern portions right now of Mississippi County, starting to make its way towards Fulton County, but it looks like a lot of our areas in western Kentucky will be impacted with this line of stronger storms moving through. So again, let's put a track on this area if you're in portions of western, looks like I think we got a new thunderstorm warning put out for Obion County, which we can get to in a second, but looks like western Kentucky, if you are here. Hickman, it'll be there at 419 very shortly, at least within the next 10 minutes. Cunningham, 444. Fancy Farm at 457. Paducah at 509, especially if that warning continued, just got reissued actually out for Obion County. Looks like we still, again, as Grant said, could have a couple more severe thunderstorm warnings issued for some areas in western Kentucky. Main thing, again, going to be some stronger winds and very heavy rain. I think a lot of that rotation doesn't really look to be as strong in that area, which is good, but we're actually going to zoom back down to our southern counties again. Grant, is the winds looking to be the same in this? Are we talking about 60 mile per hour winds? That's going to be the main impact with this new warning?
Yeah, up to 60 mile per hour winds with this new warning headed into Obion County, so for you folks in the Union City area. The overall path, the speed of the storms actually slowed down just a bit, which tells us that the surge causing all that wind is a little weaker as well. They're now moving about 40 miles per hour to the east versus 50 miles per hour to the east. So that's some good news as well. Even though we'd like to get it out of here faster, that tells us that the wind speeds may be dying down just a bit. Did get word that the tornado warning for Alexander and Pulaski County, I think it expires at 4:15, will be not continued. We just don't see any rotation that would indicate another tornado right now. So what we'll probably do, Lisa, is kind of hang with this for about 5 more minutes, and then we'll have you throw it back to regular programming as long as we don't have any new tornado circulations develop.
You know, and that's the hope, to not have more circulations develop. And I know some people want to watch regular programming, but we do this to make sure everyone is safe. This is not just impacting one area, but when it does impact an area, and even if you're not affected, when it does hit your area, you want to be alert and knowing what's going on. So it is important, and it's our jobs to stay on air no matter what when we have severe weather, to make sure that everyone is safe, because these storms, especially if they're producing some tornado warnings, could still be very dangerous, which is why we are keeping a very close eye on this as we move through. So let's move further north. We're still, again, watching that tornado warning. As Grant said, looks like it's going to expire in a few minutes, and we're probably not going to be hanging on to that, especially with some of that rotation broadening and not looking as tight as it was before. We're still hanging on, though, to some of those severe thunderstorm warnings, especially as we are heading into portions of southern Illinois. That's making its way in towards Johnson and Massac counties. We actually can zoom into this a little bit more and try to get a closer track on where this is going to be heading within the next several, let's say half an hour to an hour. Let's put a little bit of a track on this, kind of get an idea at least over the next half an hour of where this could be heading. Lick Creek at 420, Elvira 427, Merrimack at 441, and Bloomfield at 447. So yes, this stronger line of storms still looking to make its way into portions of southern Illinois. Again, mainly going to be dealing with some strong winds, 60 mile per hour, as well as very heavy rain. Portions of southern Illinois have had very, very heavy rain and a lot of rain accumulating over the past several days. This morning, if you tuned in, there goes that tornado warning just got dropped, but this is an area that definitely had several inches of rain, could still contribute to some flooding concerns. But again, we are going to be continuing to track these severe thunderstorms as they will be moving through the heartland. A very strong line just looks to be sticking with us, but hopefully the trend is that they will be weakening over the next several hours. But as long as there still are storms, we are going to be keeping you updated, especially with Grant here helping me out. But as Grant said, we're going to just keep watching them as they move through. But we should throw it back to regular programming, and if there are any more warnings, we will cut in to let you know.
Which makes good tools, and they're getting bigger and better every year.
Hoses can be a hassle, and they aren't powerful enough to actually clean. Pressure washers are too hard to set up for everyday cleaning and are so powerful they can even cause damage. So you only do big cleanings instead of regular maintenance. Finally, there's an easier way. Introducing